I'm excited. I'm so excited for this. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Also, I can't see your camera if your camera's on.
No. It's not. It's
Okay,
only
okay.
through OBS.
All right, dude. I am so very much so looking forward to this game. Both of these teams knowing how to maintain early pressure throughout their games and just like maximizing it to the potential of a victory. But also, we've seen both of these teams able to be so extremely resilient, man. And oh man, it's gonna be a good time. This is going to be a good game, a good time, and I'm more than happy to see like some good styles. I had Indeedy Boy message me beforehand when he found out I was apparently casting, and he's like, "Dude, I'm gonna give you some stuff to shout about." So I know that these guys are just as excited as we are to bring some content to these very loving and caring and toxic Mako play. I mean, just fans of Paragon.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to these picks and bans. So all three of the top teams, they've played against one another. They've seen the stream, so they know. They've seen the review, the VOD review. They've done their studying, so they know what are going to be picks and favorite picks for certain heroes or players. So I'm really interested in seeing, like, I love the competitive tournaments because as the tournament goes on, picks and bans change. What would be a top pick in certain areas doesn't really apply to this. Would be a different pick that maybe like you don't normally ban a sphere, but BT Blood popped off with Sphero one game, like, oh, we should probably ban that guy so he doesn't get Sphero. So I'm interested to see bans and picks here.
And a very large part of that has to come down to what has to be like a respect ban. And we are going to see the Revenant banned out initially here up as the screen.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm all tapped. Sorry.
Okay.
I got to do the predictions so they don't get mad at me.
Oh, dude, why are you guys yelling at him like that? Why are you guys yelling at him like that? I'm just kidding.
They need their fix.
Yeah, but we are going to see a customary Aurora ban. That character just so strong and potent whenever they do make an appearance. And a lock in on Severall gets Huggy Bear first pick so far. A character that we know is very strong and a response of two characters that yesterday when we were casting, we said should always be the second and third character, depending on who that first character is, situationally, but a majority of the time, the combination of Sparrow and Muriel peeling into the late game, it's just potent. It's like a punch to the face, a punch to the gut. It's like the breaking of ribs. Initially, you're not going down, but the longer you go with those injuries being Sparrow and Muriel in combination of that dual lane, the more and more weathered you get and the more easy it becomes for you to be kind of overcome by this constant pressure and sustain that Muriel can provide to a team fight, but also the just spin-off of a team fight's momentum in favor of whatever team has the Sparrow.
Yeah, and going on the other side, we have Rampage and Bellica, a combo that we saw last time where early game, Rampage rocked to a knockup and the enemy mid laner was dead. So they got Severall, Rampage, and Bellica. And on the other side, we got Crunch being picked up. Crunch had a really great showing. Drongo, they're going to go with the double ADC. They're doing the double Ranger.
Yeah, man, and this is that confidence that this team in top 10 definitely has and has carried throughout not only the tournament, but a lot of their individual games, a lot of the scrims I've seen these guys play. It's not as much about composition for them as much as it is about the plays and strategy that they're playing around, right? So if it's to scale into the late game and apply pressures on objectives, characters that can take them a lot, quicker, Sparrow is going to be able to contribute to a prime pick after they get a pick in the dual lane a lot faster than, let's say, a Gideon, a Shinbi, even a Countess to a degree, with just that continuous left click constant damage. So I know this team, despite being so aggressive, is so extremely objective oriented out of top 10, and so we're going to see a lot of them playing to whatever is going to allow them to get to that the fastest.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be an uphill battle. The Poonslayers, all they need to build is physical defense. The only magical threat is going to be that Muriel. So building physical defense on the Narbash, the Rampage, Seb, even the mid laner will more likely go into a physical defense item, and being able to prioritize one stat over multiple stats allows just more comfort in your builds. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they play this.
Dude, can you feel it? Can you feel it, guys? Can you feel it, chat, dude? The pop off. We are here, arriving the precipice of game one. These two top competitive teams coming in to a all wins, all go into the finals matchup. There's no more room for error. There's no more room for hesitation. If you're not coming through into this game with the confidence to succeed, then surely you're gonna fall. Dude, game one, the Cordy Cup is what I'm calling it. Let's go. Oh man, we got Sippy Style coming out of the mid, just as we'd expect on that Sparrow pick. Very potent from what we saw yesterday, but also very controlling within this middle lane and is able to counter Belica, not necessarily easily, but with the movement and agility that these characters have within their playstyles, making auto so much harder to hit. If Belica's not able to land this chain, essentially in the mid lane, every chain here that Naprax misses is going to be damage value that goes so much more in favor of Sippy Styles just because of his consistent damage output. But not only that, his steroid can result in a kill if they're not careful. So I'm expecting to see a lot of pressure coming out of the jungle here, Cordy, to help suppress this Sparrow within the early game.
Yeah, and looking at the enemy team, or looking at the Poonslayers, so they put Rampage in the solo lane rather than having him in the jungle. Sevarog, he can set up pretty easily with the long range route. However, I feel like there's more damage can be applied by the Rampage, the long range stun, getting the ground pound, and just comboing that with Belica that we saw last time. I feel it's like a more better mid jungle combo. On the other hand, we have Crunch, who's really good at just providing easy CC. Not going to have heavy bursts from the mid, because we do have the Sparrow pick. Both junglers going to be meeting up in mid. Going to do a little poke.
Making his presence known. Going to take a little bit of poke there as he meanders into the middle lane. That's going to be a dash forward and followed up by an uppercut. It immediately is handled, but it is going to be a good knockup coming out of the Belica as she is going to be brought to the threshold of the green screen. But will survive Sparrow, pushing up off of Sippy Styles, but it is going to be a safe lane to disengage here now, coming out of both of these teams. Just what we expected out of this game, right? Immediately applying that pressure, and it is going to be Crunch, even expending his smite there, just to secure the tiniest bits, the tiniest bit of advantage over the enemy jungle. And that is a multi-layered play, because you're not only gaining some XP and denying it to the jungle, you also know that he is aware that the mid lane cannot rotate to help him, since that gank was successful. Along with that, Sevarog does not have very good burst potential at any stage of the game, really. So he knows he's able to get in even at sub 50% health and be able to take that kill for basically free. And I'm expecting, well, if I'm being a little biased, I'm hoping to see a little bit of that out of top 10 here, but also hoping to see a strong countering presence out of the opposing team.
Yeah, there's definitely two styles here. We have the top 10 are definitely more aggressors, want to go in your face early on and put a lot of pressure and ride that early game momentum. Whereas I feel like the Poonslayers are more methodical with their rotations and rather have a slower paced game and get their levels online, get their farm correctly and fight around the objectives rather than a full on W key. So two different styles here. Will be interesting to see which style prevails in this first game.
Yeah, man, and it's something we talked about yesterday, in that top 10 can't identify the letter S. They don't have an understanding of it. I handed one to them, and they broke its back and turned it into a W and said, is this what you mean? Is this what you wanted? As we are going to see them, even from the backside, being a little bit aggressive here as they're trying to poke some damage across. Not to the fruition so far, but we are still in the early laning phases. Off to the side, we are going to see a rotation coming in from this Belica. Sparrow a little bit late behind. That's going to at least be -8 seconds on the rotation unless she meets up with this Belica into the side lane. But both of these teams very much so aware of each other and the map presence are going to instead opt for a reset to get a little bit more CS as they start making their way back to their lanes. So I got a little bit of a hot take here while we're within the early phases of this game, unless I don't have the time to say it, but indeed your boy is not going to connect with that dash forward. Very well, Sevarog off to his left is going to disengage, and due to the nerf to XP that the jungle provides, he's going to be, you know, mutually leeching a little bit off of that mid XP to help build up that lead that's going to allow him to hopefully invade, while Sev without a lot of that burst like we talked about, without as much mobility, without as easy to land lockdown, is going to have to lock into just jungling a lot more frequently than this crunch is going to have to.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see. There's so much presence going on in the middle lane. There has been a lot of rotation from Solo. They have their blinks, they have their leaps, they're a little bit more tankier. So that side is really not going to be fought over. It's going to be a solo lane, but dual lane, not a lot of presence yet on dual lane. A lot of rotations on mid. And right now we have a rotation here from Rom.
And a rotation coming out of Rom King, seeing that he is seeing. Let's see how many resources he expends. We do know the blink is going to be up for this gentleman.
What is
it is going to be an immediate blink back into the dive. And it is going to be first blood as this team surges forward in the duo lane quicker than you can see it. Guys, round one, he falls and Water Spirit is soon to follow. That consistent DPS, this is the top 10 playbook. Get that pick, then pick up a Spirit on your way back. Almost definitely going to see either a rotation to mid if the Spelica stays pressed up, or a backing to get a little bit of a power spike, as interestingly enough we do see in the right lane Rampage is going to actually be stifling the wave, forcing his minions to get a little bit of CS. Very aware though that the rest of this team at top 10 is in the far side other lane in duo.
Yeah, you gotta feel for Huggy there. He got his blink off, but he is from EU, so that ping difference, that split second of timing matters so much in this game. Unfortunately, on his screen he probably was out, but on the NA server side he wasn't, unfortunately gotten pulled there. But I was wondering why Rom was rotating so early without any portals being up and missing farm, but they wanted to get a play, dive left side and pull that objective.
It's going to have to be about shutting down the foundational members of this team in Poonslayers, the ones who are going to be able to contest the objective, the ones who are going to be able to contest you sitting in jungle. It has to be selectively them, right? It has to be the Murdoch, it has to be the Severok who's going to have the smite. Rampage, he can be a problem, but we can see, like a math equation, if you're looking for the answer, the variable of solving the Rampage issue, it's called chainsaw. When that bad boy gets revved up, it becomes easy to cut through him, turning that very menacing sea creature into a nice little piece of sushi if you are able to develop that lead. And as much as we do talk about top 10 knowing to, pushing the advantage, playing aggressively, looking to run down the throat of the opposition, they know when to put their foot on the accelerator, and it's one thing that helps separate them from other teams. But on the other side, the Poonslayers, constantly methodical, constantly harassing you. Rampage on the other side, jungle, very aware that there's someone to save him. It's going to force a blink now out of the Sparrow, having to hit the skedaddle key, understanding that staying there is death. And even with that movement speed buff, having the stun come back up on that Finnair, most of them would have most definitely resulted in a kill going in favor of the Poonslayers.
Yeah, we have this huge rotation from Poonslayers on the Spirit side of the map, but Spirit is not available. Maybe they're looking for a little pick, but interesting to see that they didn't try to pull the Prime Guardian or the underling. But yeah, so right now nothing up. Maybe just trying to get a little bit invade. Right now we have Sev rotating for the underling.
Cordy, we talked about this gamer. We talked about it. It's the Prime Gargling.
The Gargling.
It's the Gargling. I told you yesterday, guys, we're going to be standing on it, but it is going to be the Poonslayers looking to start setting up the drinks for the first Prime Gargling take here early within the game. 20,000 health here, dropped into 1,500. 12, not likely to see a steal here as there is nobody around. And it is going to be Guardian going in favor of this team in the Poonslayers, which brings us to our next point, Cordy, from what we discussed yesterday. The early debate of Guardian versus Spirit, right? One basically guarantees you a tower if the opposing team doesn't set up a rather stiff defense for it. And even then, if it's left to run rampant, it can get across a little bit of inhibitor damage if this other team is caught lacking. But in a situation where you're in a 5v5 and both teams are very aware, constantly communicating, and have wards all throughout the map, I mean, look at the map as it sits. both of these teams have some level of vision, although we do have to say Top 10's is superior at this instance. A good route here coming out of the mid lane. Sparrow looking to press that advantage. More than likely to see the steroid, but Sev rotating out of the side lane. The route will land. She does not have a blink up. It is going to be ult now coming out of the Muriel. If anything, for life as she does land up top now. It is going to be a rotation of the Drongo as well as the Muriel. Superstar's looking and enjoying the fight. However, this Heavenly Angel ain't here to save life. She might be here to take it, but it is going to be safe. Sliding across that home plate back into her mid tower will be Belica, but at the expenditure of her blink.
Yeah, very close there. They once the Muriel ult came out, they stopped the aggression. Was happy with getting the Muriel ult, and unfortunately, the Belica forced the blink out. It's not a really valuable trade there.
Exactly, those cooldowns very different, and especially on a low mobility character like Belica, you now have to rely so heavily on that knockup to be able to disengage and re-engage a lot more safely, especially on the gank.
Yeah, 300 seconds. Objective is coming up. The spirit's gonna be coming up here, so having that safety net off cooldown, you definitely see a focus here from Top 10 going for the Belica.
So, yesterday when we were conversating amongst ourselves here, I feel like anytime I say, while we have a moment, there's something that's about to go down. We do see a rotation here, coming up the crunch, a dash in, Wally likes the punch, he's gonna crunch you, fold you like a lawn chair, goes Huggy Bear.
Oh my.
Down and the immediate rotation, the flashback, the play-by-play. There it is yet again. A snatch up coming up from Top 10, resulting in a much higher presence on the water spirit. At this point, you have to know, and this team does. They say, you want to take our life, you want to take that spirit? Fine, we're going to be taking that tower. And if you're not quick on the rotation, you're going to get that inhib damage as well.
It's another good rotation again, being ready for the spirit there.
And not only trading one, but two towers.
Yeah, the other lane taking down the tower. Still, honestly, a fair trade. Getting that constant buff throughout the game. I mean, the towers, eventually all the towers are going to go down. You're going to get that gold regardless. So having that buff lasting the entire game. And again, it's going to be the water spirit. Actually, never mind. I take it back. Water spirit's trash.
Yeah.
I thought it was the wind spirit. Never mind.
Yeah,
terrible
we
play.
were talking about it. Water spirit's bad. Water spirit's bad. We talked about it yesterday. You either, to make water spirit feel good, have to break it, or just come to terms with the fact as a studio and as the developing team at Netmarble that it just won't be good. You know, it'll be water spirit is the feels bad role. You know, fire spirit, ooh, now we're getting saucy. Now we're gonna be rolling a little bit. Earth spirit, okay, I can work with that. Water spirit, nobody but Narbash likes that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they can do to buff this item. Yeah, I don't know.
It's listen, I'm sure, let me push on my glasses here, Cordy. If I was a Darbash building a lot of mana regen and I got 3 spirits, I would still prefer 2 earth ones. I would still take 2 air ones to get my cooldowns over most any other scenario. But you know, we play with the hands in which we are dealt, and this isn't necessarily bad for Top 10 either. With these towers being taken, we talked about it. This gold is on map. If you're playing well, which these teams normally are, it is going to be taken at some stint of the game. So with the map now being opened up, it is almost more advantageous for Top 10 with this crunch being able to initiate and lock down. It is able to initiate a team fight more on their terms. However, it is going to be a big ult here coming out of the solo lane. And Fire Burning Bright, a jump out coming out of the rampage, forced by a blink. That damage will come across. However, Sparrow's ult is down now. A big factor in this game has come to rest, and it is going to be indeed your boy CC locked down, and somebody is going to take him to the scrapyard. It is going to be a 1 down member. Indeed, your boy's going to fall to the Severon, looking more like a +10 in the solo lane as Top 10 is now put on the back foot.
It was a 5v4. Drongo going down mid and pushing it didn't have the extra damage there from the Drongo, but yeah, again, early game it's so much easier for the Poonslayers because they can just build physical defense. They don't need to worry about magical defense right now. We have physical from wrong side. We got physical from Rampage, we have Exemius Wave from Sevarog. They could just easily frontline until we get to about third, fourth item from the back line for top 10. They could just one more item and they could just kind of W key any objective, any jungle, just frontline pretty easily because they don't have that caster. They don't have to worry about building another item.
Yeah, and pivoting over to that team fight, or pivoting back, I guess, to that team fight there, I will say, looking at it and like letting it simmer, letting it sit for a little while, letting that team fight marinate, it feels like a key turning point in that team fight was, and I hate to say it, Sippy ulting a little bit preemptively there on the Sparrow pick, coming down and not even connecting the full birth, the full girth of that ult out of the Sparrow, the inner fire, onto more than two characters, both of which had a disengage. Now, it was really close on the Rampage. We have to take that into account. Hindsight vision is always going to be 20/20, but in a team fight like that where you have tower on your side, I personally would have very much so liked to see the holding of that ult for just a little bit longer until they are farther pushed up underneath that tower. That way we know when that inner fire does burn bright, it has something to burn through in that engagement.
Yeah, the tower actually doing more damage than the Sparrow did that entire fight on the Rampage, unfortunately. Just being too tanky right now. 189 physical defense, going for this the gargling or gurgling, whatever you call it.
Going for the Colgate Garglers, proud sponsor of. But no, as Guardian, God, now I'm actually bought into it. As Guardian does spawn, it does look like we have defense set up. It is going to be Grux who dashes in. However, very isolated is the Rom King. Surrounded on other sides. That shotgun blast is going to put Baby in the corner, but he is going to blink out, and it is going to be a snipe from across the way, right in the sights. Goes Rom King as he is sat down by the Rhino Hunter. It is going to be the Rampage in the middle, absorbing a whole lot of damage, causing Indeed to have to disengage, but that rock is going to connect, leaving a dent in the metal and leaving him in the scrapyard as Indeed falls. That is 2 in favor of the Poonslayers as they push the top 10, now resulting in just 3. A bit of quick math on you. Running back to the team.
I thought he hit that rock.
A rock slaying from the hip coming out of the Rampage here as Poonslayers now look like they are willing to engage to get this prime Guardling.
Yeah, I mean, they just Rom King going in, unfortunately not having the team with them, but also the Rampage, he soaked up so much damage. He was backing four players from top 10 alone. He's just too tanky. Going we got the artificial gravity inductor next. Tax speed's gonna be reduced. The power is gonna be reduced. We have the Zinx Clawbearer for Sevarog. It's so much easy to prioritize one damage type. Unless this game goes super late, I'm feeling that this is gonna be a snowball here from the Poonslayers.
Yeah, for sure, especially that early momentum now, very pivotally switching over to the enemy side here over in the Poonslayers as top 10 goes for this high-risk comp that they know at the very late game, you get chains on and you're going to be able to cut through that health a lot easier than what you would previously crossbow, contributing to that vastly with the increased attack speed that it is going to be bringing to a lot of these engagements. But despite that, you have to get there, and with the team that is so oriented around aggression in the early game and building a significant lead, it is never a good sign for top 10 when at 20 minutes into the game, they are not sitting within the enemy team's jungle, whenever they are not easily able to prioritize and drag every single objective. It's definitely going to be a wrench in the game plan, and now it's going to come down to how do we rewrite, how do we persevere on the fly. We know that it's going to be harder early, but we didn't know the advantage of the momentum would swing quite as hard as what it has. So it looks like we are going to be seeing a grouping, their side jungle, blue side, or as I like to call it, the blue pocket, and they make their way back towards Prime. They do pick up that there's a ward over there, going to be hastily taken out here by Zippy Styles. Over to the side and rotating from the far side, it looks like it is going to be Rampage, more than likely taking that portal as his team swells and begins to gather on the right side of the map. Don't play the music yet, DJ. I'm not quite sure if we're going to have a Prime party, but it does look like both teams are setting up for one.
Right now we have Indeed at level 12, Sevarog level 1 or level 11, so a level advantage for top 10, and as far as it comes to securing So if they are going to pull the objective, they need to make sure to zone, either possibly get a kill on the crunch or force them back to where they can safely pull the objective.
And it is going to be both of these teams having to set up there, but look at the play, look at the map setting, and look at where the pressure is. That is going to be pressure and far left. And as this team in the Poonslayers see that it has gathered at that left side inhib, they slowly start to close in on that objective, taking prominence within the pit. That is going to be prime started, but the big 4-man dragon, it is going to be Grux who dashes in and onto the back line. That's going to be a big 4-man on the dash and followed up by the boys, and indeed, as well as Rom King. Don't look down, you might drop your crown, as he is going to be knocked up and set back down. That is a dash forward onto the front line. However, the pool will miss all circles and all cylinders. The Rhino Hunter Murdoch, though, is on the prowl as the damage translates over to him. This looks like it is going to be a full retreat coming out of top 10 here as they look to simply create some space. But Rai is going to pick up the kill on Finnair, turning that Rampage into a nice sushi cutlet, but the initiation is not yet over, as it is going to be both of these teams looking to softly reset, but only one of them has the Narbash, and with that Narbash comes the advantage of healing. We're going to see it back coming out of Rom King. The bit of healing will not need to be all, as he's looking to get active back in that team fight. Muriel does not have her ult, so she cannot hit the skedaddle key to cross the map, and it is going to be from behind another engage coming from a freshly healed Indeed ya boy is looking for the smoke, yes again, and it will not be found. The firefighters have arrived just in time, and lets the pull of the lands, in which it does. The Muriel CC, the Sun, the Spirit's Fang sinks its tooth deep into the Macabelica, resulting in a very quick death. 1 in favor of top 10. 4-4 on the kill boards, 2-1 objectives, and we are looking to throw a little bit of a party in the jungle as they are going to apply pressure and start depriving this team and the Poonslayers up farm. Another engage here coming off of Ron King. The aggression, the advantage, the confidence. It's top 10 right now, as it is going to have to be the Poonslayers who reset.
Yeah, the prime pull, it's so tough. The positioning, the positioning of the prime guardian pulled in 4 people. Rom noticed it, goes in, dashes in, gets a pull, blinks in, gets an AoE ult. Great play there from Rom, just being that initiation and saw the opportunity there. As far as the pulling the objective, we gotta be more careful when pulling that thing.
Yeah, man, and it has to feel bad if you are the team over here in the Poonslayers, right? It's the tale as old as time. Prime, the ultimate, undefeated MVP, 6th man of the year, ongoing every month that he is out every day. That pull, an absolute cataclysm to one side of the team if it is hidden, so unpredictable and not quite slow enough to read, but fast enough to ruin an initiation. But one thing we should take into consideration here before we get too swept up in the wins, it is still 4-4, 2-1. Water Spirit, not that big of a deal. And by not that big, I mean a minute deal from both sides of this team here. That is going to be a pull interrupted by the Grux and almost most definitely a disengage from the Rom King. But it is relatively even, and that fight felt so hard fought. But that fight was only for 1 or 2 kills. It wasn't a deicide, it wasn't a team wipe, it wasn't objective. Indeed, your boy and his team and everyone had to back and get their health back in order to secure 2 kills on this tanky team. Now we're gonna see if it's gonna be a repeat of that, as it is Rampage who's gonna activate the gravity inductor. However, it will not work. His feet are not held on the ground as he is sent skyward to this gray screen in the sky, where he's on a farm now, said the Rampage, as it is going to be now 2 down for the Poonslayers and a rotation back to the Water Spirit.
And Murdoch, unfortunately, getting caught out there, forced to blink away. Rampage jumping in to help, just like the communication was a little off there, and Rampage was isolated into a 4v1, getting caught out there. Bellica getting caught out as well. Objective going. The worst Spirit going to top 10. Now to the next Spirit we got is Scylla, so that one,
big one,
that's a big one. All these other spirits don't matter.
I like Water Spirit a lot. Not Water Spirit, that was a lie. I like Scylla Spirit a lot. You know why? You know why I like it so much, Cordy?
Why is that?
Because it's not Water Spirit. Honestly, I would consider it pretty tactical if this team decided to take the 1 water and just let let top 10 wait it out in order to, you know, maximize the value they're going to be able to get out of Scylla instead of 3 water spirits. Gross.
Yeah.
But it is going to be both of these teams here now resetting, looking catch back up on their CS. A relatively low kill game, all things considered here. 25 minutes in, it's going to be 6-4 kill advantage. Top 10 advantage to objectives. Actually, at the moment, top 10 as well, not counting the prime, as this next one though is going to be a big one from both teams. We are going to see blacksmith scissors built out of the crunch here in combination with the zincs. A very good pickup, especially for initiating on all of these team fights. It is looking like a rather tanky crunch as well as Grux build, as we are going to see Hylian built onto Rom King here, as this front line is looking to survive the onslaught that this Murdoch is going to be able to provide. But you're going to notice that in every initiation, they are going in almost exclusively onto this Murdoch. Bellica, a second thought, and she's doing a lot of power. She's not to be fully ignored. But with that understanding, Murdoch has to be the priority for this team, and they're very aware of it.
Yeah, right now we have just a little posturing, getting some more levels up and farming. No one quite yet pulling the objective. As we saw last time, one team pulled the objective, and it turned out an unfavorable matchup. But looking at these builds right now, so much physical defense being built in by Rampage and Seborog. I'm really would like to see Bellica build a physical defense item as well. This will be a little bit tankier. But we haven't seen a clean fight, a clean team fight there. So it'd be interesting to see this next objective. I'm not sure if we're going to see a Guardian fight. It's probably going to be a solo fight going to be next, but right now we're just still posturing around Guardian.
It definitely feels like both of these teams, and excuse my pun here, but it feels like both of these teams are almost playing a game of chicken with one another. And the result of that is that, you know, there's a big scramble on the backside. There's a lot of like, I look at you, you look at me, I dash in, Cedrock pressures my backline, but indeed is sitting on the Spirit Fang on my backline along with my team. He is going to wander away and just be able to reprioritize with ease, as it is going to be with Artificial Gravity Inductor, the Rampage, who's going to deny gravity a little bit when he uses that blink into his jump in midair. What can we say? The Snowman has hops.
Man, he had such a massive health bar whenever he ulted. Whenever he ults, I need to look into his health whenever he goes in ults. But right now, we're starting to get some pin online. Rai on Drongo got to spin ready, so the health shred is starting to kick in here.
Yeah, and another big part of this, right, is I feel like one thing we, you know, not necessarily me and you, but K to be forgotten, because, you know, knowing all the items in the game is kind of what we do, right? We can bring that information to viewers. And, you know, some people may be aware of this, but maybe not all. So I'm going to point out that that Merchants, the first item that Sparrow built, does additional damage equal to 6% of the target's current health. 6% of their current HP. That means as it does get lower and lower, it becomes less effective. But when you're initiating these team fights, and let's say Inner Fire starts to burn bright throughout the backline, that means Sev, that means Rampage, even in ult. That means that the Narbash even are going to be experiencing a lot of loss of health within those instances. And it is going to be a Portal who's going to be taken here by Grux just to lock down Rom King. He looked like he was going to be able to get out there, but it does not look like it, as that is going to be yet another kill going in favor here of the Poonslayers as they look to rally now, surging towards the enemy team jungle. It is going to be an ult and a snowball that will just briefly miss as Rampage begins to initiate on the back end.
A body block
coming out, and it is going to be a melted health bar down near of the boy in Indeed, but he will just barely slip through the cracks. Muriel forced to ult out to survive for life. However, with the cooldown that she has built, not too bad of a trade. I'd much rather give up the one than give up the health and this Scylla without being able to put up much of a fight. And because Crunch's life was preserved, he is going to be able to make it to this engage, depending on how quickly they can be there. This is going to be top 10 coming off the back end, more than likely using that rear exploit to try to close the distance. About 2/3 health is left on the ruler of Spirit Scylla as this team fight does to break out, and indeed it's going to zoom in on the back end, get on the ground. Is going to burst down Muriel as Murdoch does finish up a little bit of police brutality. Drongo with the blowback, knocking Seth off and away from the objective, but Rye very soon is going to fall off the backline, but it is going to be indeed your boy looking to get active within the team fight as he dashes in, initiating in, rocking down the rampage. His life not yet quite forfeit, but Sparrow had something to say as those arrows pierce through the snowman. Do you want to build? Because this one has been melted through. It is going to be a 3-2 trade in favor top 10.
They're still hanging around here. Still getting pretty close, getting burned down. 70-60. It doesn't look like we're going to have any contest. It's going to go for free. I mean, what a insane fight there. Leading up to that, they were so close to getting Indeed. If they killed Indeed, that was a guaranteed Prime Guardian. Like
free.
They were in the spot. They were healthy enough. They were able to get. They had gotten Indeed. He was so close to dying. Unfortunately, they didn't get that kill. They could have easily gotten the Prime Guardian, and we could be looking at a different start. But they used a lot of abilities there. They rotated to Scylla, and top 10 able to come in, and they came back full health, full mana, bought some items, and were able to turn that fight around.
For sure, man. And it is just one thing to be said about the team fight, about the play calling of the determination not to let it go, knowing you're going into that fight here 4v5 because your Grux is still going to be down. He's still going to be great screen. And there's the worst nightmare come to fruition. Freddy Krueger, consider yourself on Elm Street, ladies and gentlemen, because that is going to be Sippy Styles. Now with Chainsaw and Jeweler's Box both built, all that defense doesn't feel quite like it used to now. She's going to be able to do a surplus of damage melting through that back end, and with the amount of attack speed that she has as well, oof, it's going to be a tough time now, as it seems like the pendulum is starting to swing, not yet in favor completely of top 10, but after that last Spirit fight, it definitely feels like they've picked up a lot of the momentum.
Rampage in a bad spot here, forced to leap out.
Yeah,
he is going to be dying
He's
here.
going to get melted from the back end. Gamer, they have the penetration. That is not what it appears to be. However, on the far side, it is going to be Prime Guardian. Grux has eyes on it, and worse than that, it is going to be Sippy Styles. Very aware. Are we going to see Inner Fire? Burning Bright, let loose here. It's going to melt through first to life of the Narbash. It is going to be damaged. Laid on the Sippy Styles on the backline. It is going to be a leaky drain as he is flushed down the toilet in this initiation in the Prime Pit. But one by one, this team is going to get lower and lower and lower, nearing the precipice of all falling. One man away from being a deicide, and it is going to be the Phantom Reaper, the God of Death, the River Styx Maker himself, the Big Hammer D, S of the Severa, Conti, who's going to be the lone survivor thus far in this initiation, but not for too much longer, as this team at top 10 rotates the Prime after taking all 5 lives. That is going to be 3 inhibs down in favor of top 10.
What a good play again from Rob. Rob is definitely making these huge plays. He goes in, he pre-warm ups the pull, blinks in, so as soon as he goes in, the pull is fully casted, and he's going to get that pull on 2 main targets there, forcing him to that spot, doing a lot of damage. And then Sippy just on the Sparrow easily just popping ult and hitting multiple targets. But yeah, Rom King going in there making some big plays in these last couple of fights.
For sure, man, for sure. And this is a big part of it for me. This is a big part of it for me because this series, this set, this game, Gordy, has now got me begging the question: is penetration just better than tanks? Yeah, is pen just better than tanks?
When it comes to late game, this is where it should be, right? You want your carries to be, you want them to carry, you want them to do damage late game. The window is closed. The chainsaws are built. Merchant Jewelry Box is built. Lifesteal is going to be built online as well, so they're going to be able to survive a little bit more longer. But yeah, this is how it is. The carries late game are doing what their job is to carry the game.
Yeah, man, it's all about getting them to that point. And I thought we were in Paragon, not Minecraft, because Crunch, Muriel, Grux as the blocks, the stepping stones to build the bridge to connect these 2 carries and Sippy and the Drongo to that late game. And now that they've arrived fresh on the other side, adamantium sword in hand, they are looking to lay down the damage. And boy, have they ever within this game one so far. X-Ray, Sippy putting on a hell of a performance so far in this game.
Yeah, it was a very risky team comp. They were getting pushed early. A couple of different plays that happened could be a different outcome in this game, but they got to where they needed to be. They got to late game. They have their items aligned, so at this point, it's going to be tough.
A play that I wanted to emphasize, but things kept happening. You know, we got to keep up with the times, man. The past is for the old. We're looking to the future. But while we do have a moment, allow me to feel a little nostalgic in that prime pit, not the prime pit, in the spear pit with Scylla. A small play that for me was a little unrecognized was not only that Drongo was able to maintain the ult, he was not only able to maintain the ult in order to get away and create distance from the Sephiroth, but when he ulted, that knocked him off the cliff edge where the spirit had been dragged to. So now he had to try to reposition and make his way through Sippy Styles, Indeed, and Grux in order to get back up to secure the smite for that objective, and instead had to opt to try to melt down some of the people that were in immediate range of him. I don't know if it was intentional, but it was a hell of a play that definitely influenced that fight.
Right now, we got them sieging the left side. This could be the final push here for top 10. Looking to take game number 1. We have a little wall here set up right by the Poonslayers.
Indeed, it is going to be him rotating here over into the middle side. You know, he's going to be the one to come in and initiate. If this game's going to come to the end, it's going to be on the back of the mech of the robot, of the Gundam lad himself. Indeed, your boy, one of his favorite picks. And he's going to have to ride down this team like the Cowboys kid he owns.
Oh, the ult! He's got the back line.
Ult out of the Sephiroth, skating and scattering away this team as it is going to be Spirit's Fang. Proc within the middle. A lot of damage is going to be bursted through, but only one of these teams has their entire safety net of the core to stand behind them. The sixth man often defeated is the only way to victory, but it is going to be this team in top 10 who are going to be prioritizing tower, melting it 1053 1%, landing in the V. That is going to be a victory going in favor of top 10 and a defeat in game 1 going over to the Poonslayers.
Man, what a roller coaster of a game. Early game was top 10. They were dominating. Then the tanks started to get online, getting their tanky items, and then the Poonslayers were dominating. And then when it came to late game team fights, the carries were able to get online and do their job. They were able just to carry. I'm interested to see if we're going to run back the double ADC. If we run back the same style from both teams, and see what the outcome could be there. If there's going to be any particular bans, maybe we'll see a ban of a ranger and picking up another ranger to kind of put down the totem pole of Sparrow. I mean, Sparrow is we've been seeing it a lot in these past couple of games now. She's doing work.
Oh yeah, and for me, the double ADC doesn't work without her. It doesn't. And I don't see how it can. That ult turns her into damn near a mage. The attack speed, the steroid, the buff, the oh my god, the beef coming out of Conte and Finir there within that game, but ultimately was not enough. A lot of damage reduced, but that's even more damage that got through from this team comp. I don't think that without Sparrow, the double carry play works in the way that it should, or it works to the extent that we know it can, that we've seen it be able to. She almost becomes a mage when she uses that old key, and with the steroid to her movement speed, she has the potentiality to just absolutely run through the entirety of a team at high speeds. And without that, I mean, what else do you replace it with? Like, don't get me wrong, Murdoch is good. We saw him do a little bit of rhino hunting that game, and it was plenty impressive, but it is not at all what that just was. It cannot compare to the performance that Sparrow can give you if in the right hands.
And another thing too, I mean, Sparrow, we are giving a lot of love to Sparrow, rightly deserved, but Drongo as well. Drongo having his steroid, doing percent max true damage health, which is insanely busted. But yeah, Drongo, another great carry as well to just shred the damage late game. I'm interested to see if they do decide to go that route where picking a carry first, maybe banning a Sparrow, banning a Drongo, picking the other, trying to limit the team of top 10 for getting double Rangers if that's a strat they could potentially go.
Yeah. Wait, one moment. Adjust my camera a little bit. Oh God, I hope it didn't blow up. I hope it didn't.
No,
So for me, I'm gonna be real. I'm not seeing a reason to ban Sephiroth. And people are gonna be mad at me. People are gonna be upset with me.
no,
But
I
honestly,
definitely agree.
Sephiroth is not bannable here from what I can see. I would not expend a ban on him. And if I'm this team in Poonslayers, I'm not expending a top 3 pick for Sephiroth. There's nobody for me on top 10 who's looking to pick that character up because it does not fit their playstyle and it does not fit their objective.
True.
Aurora, sure. Now here's the real hot take, man. Right now, that was the warm up. Here's the skillet. Here's the remove him from the cast. I'm letting Revenant get through, and I'm exchanging that ban for Sparrow. I'm gonna need this team to show me what you can do with Revenant because in a team fight, he can make an big isn't the word, a monumental impact if it is going to be referential to objectives. But dude, I'd rather have my jungler taken out, we disengage and we do our best to reset it for 10 seconds than have Sparrow take out my whole team because she just put 3 of us on a gray screen. If not even if it's her getting the kills, but the damage, the steroid, and the aggression that the movement speed can give her to just be on top of our heads, dude. I'm letting Rev get through. I am not wasting a top 3 pick here on Sev, and I'm banning out the Sparrow. And if I'm not banning her, I am picking her so this team at top 10 can't do it. My objective is to get Sippy on a mage this game.
Yeah. The one time that we did see them fall was he was rocking a caster. He did say himself too, like he's not a big fan of casters. His main role is playing the Ranger, so. Yeah, that could be a potential strat going here is, banning the Rangers, picking Rangers first. And they do have the second option here for 1 and 2. So they could definitely pick up a Ranger in that slot and force maybe a lower tiered Ranger through for top 10. But yeah, I agree with you. Set ban, it's not their style of play. Top 10 doesn't play that kind of, double tank front line. They want to go in, they want the Warriors, they want the Crocs, they want the Crunch, they want to go and do damage and just kind of W key. Sevrog, I know a lot of EU players really value him high enough, but I don't think he is as good as they think he is.
Not just as he sits now. As he sits now. I would like to see him, be in the position that they value him at. But as he sits currently, he's good, not great. And when you're lining up against this team, you need not good or great, you need your best. And so I'm hoping to see some adjustments here in the draft as we get ready for game 2.
Yeah, so again, chat, we do have a change inside. So top 10 is going to be the first pick. First ban, first pick, and Poonslayers opting to go the second option to getting the 2 picks. So we'll see how they adjust to this next draft. Right now we're just getting our roles selected here and see.
Making our way in the lock-in process here as we know what people are playing. We have seen a couple switch ups. Here and there. But ultimately, it has been, people in their preferred and best lanes, which is especially something you want to see when you're playing at a tournament of this, high caliber where there are the stakes, where there's the cash pot. You want to see people playing their best. And now I'm interested to see who's going to be the ban coming out of this team. And it is going to be a Muriel ban, one that, it has to almost with their style of play, and unless you want to trust that you're going to first pick it and they're not going to punish you with a resulting Sparrow or big pick coming out of them. And it is instead going to be a crunch ban and an Aurora pick as we expect to hear. Now, what I want to see out of this team is a pickup on Sparrow. You need to pick her up. You cannot allow her to fall into the hands of this team again.
Sparrow or Drongo. Drongo did have top damage that last game, but
indeed,
but right now the Aurora pick, which is interesting because we've seen Rom playing the Crux. The jungle has been more of Crunch, so I don't know if this is going to be going in the solo lane or it's going to be a jungle Aurora. more than likely going to be the solo lane. So Rom going to be rocking the solo. But we'll see how it's going to be the Sparrow and Sev.
There it is. There it is. You know, that Drongo pick, very good, you know, doing true damage and whatnot. And I very much so. Like, it is a needle and needle race, a Mario Kart skedaddle of sorts that has been determined by a blue shell in the lucky hands of one. But for me personally, I value Sparrow just a little bit higher, with her kit just enabling her to make such a team fight impact, not only individually, but having picked her up, you do know that that Revenant is going to get through to the other side. So it is going to be a matter of how well can you play this situation? How well are you going to be able to play the back front line, knowing that at any juncture, Revenant is going to be taking one of your members out of a team fight, out of an objective, out of a tower push? You got to just be able to play around it. But so far, I think this team and the Poonslayers are making the steps necessary to make a comeback and possibly take this game too, despite the draft for top 10 looking very strong still.
Yeah, Aurora, Decker, we haven't seen a lot of Decker. I do believe the only team that we've seen play Decker is going to be top 10, but the Bell or the Shinbi
almost feels a little bit like a counter pick going into that Aurora, that high mobility not meaning nearly as much when those wolves are going to run you down wherever you get to. As well as that, we have seen throughout this tournament that a backup pick to the crunch that we've seen be executed very well on Indeed Your Boy was the Shinbi. So now it becomes a question of how deep are the picks going to be for this team, and it is going to be more than likely here a Grux jungle now. I'm assuming going over to Indeed, Rom King on the Aurora solo. I have to assume it has to be Revenant mid, or possibly the Murdoch for that little extra safety. So it's a hard toss up there. I think this team could slide either way, but the Poonslayers now with a very solid looking lineup, a very bursty lineup. This Bellica able to combo well with not only the Rampage, but the Shinbi and the just damage that she gets from the Wolves, whether that's the AoE or targeted one, or the auto lock of the ult, if they are able to secure a target within the range. And Howitzer. It's going to be a good pick.
Wow, what's going on here? The book's been thrown out by EU. They just we're building damage against these guys. We have, I'm assuming, Shinbi in the solo lane, Howitzer mid, Bellica is going to be support, Sparrow caster, and Sev in the jungle.
Okay,
they are going to fight fire with fire.
It feels like that, doesn't it? Like it. I cannot wrap my head again around the priority of this Severog pick. I'm struggling on it, and I know he scales well, but I mean, we've seen it in every game. 2 items bring him down significantly in his prio and his applicability in these team fights. But despite that, we still find ourselves here. Severog, Conte, and his lads and the Poonslayers lined up in a game 2 versus top 10. It looks like both teams very aware of what they're bringing to the team fight, and that's damage, that's burst, that's fire v fire. Now it comes down to which one is going to be hotter here, as we see 3 rotating from top 10 to the mid lane. We got ourselves, looks like an NA versus NA match going on here. Damage across the board. Dude, I mean, we're getting a little bit of an American Revolution across the pond over here. These guys have given up on the old ways of tea time, and now it's WWE time. We're looking to suplex you down 6 feet, going deep, great screen, damage only. Shinbi, Howie, Sparrow, and a Bellica support. Oof me, oh my. I will say a good pick. You know you're going into the rev, and that reload does count as an ability. Keep in mind, guys. So that can pull a rev, out of sprint mode. It can also, well, the reload itself will pull him out of sprint mode, but I digress. It can be a little bit of just poke damage when he's just looking to lane, and it can be a little bit of just annoying map presence when he's looking to play to his advantages, as it is going to be the Bellica actively doing a little bit of de-warding here early on in the game. It is going to be Huggy Bear bursted down pretty early in a 1v1, not a 1v1, but a 1v2. The trade's not going her favor, but even worse than that, in the most recent patch, a large change, those jump pads are not going to be on. So it is going to be a bit of a long walk, a little bit of a jog in order for her to get back to the dual lane.
I just gotta say, I am just so jealous that he has the Shinobi skin. I wish I pulled the trigger and bought that skin. The Christmas skin is really, really good skin for Shinobi. One of her better ones.
Man. It's so good. It's so good. My problem is I struggle with like seasonal changes. Like I'm the guy who like looks at you and grimaces when your Christmas lights are up in March. It's like when your Halloween stuff is up in December, I'm like, dude, what are we doing? All right, let's get a little bit with the times, because we are going to see here an invade onto Indeed, your boy, and it is going to be a knockback, get back into this fog wall. But you can come over here with me, Sevi boy, as Conte is going to be bursting down a little bit, but is Indeed your boy who's going to be lower, a bit of health now coming back blue. As he is going to burst down. The Conti, it is going to be a kill, going first over to Indeed your boy. An amazing use of the smite on the blue buff, which still remains up because it does still count. Only as one hit, but regains him the health that he needs in order to secure that first kill. 1-0 favor, top 10.
I didn't think that was possible. I didn't. Abilities still work on the blue mana buff, but smiting, I never thought to smite it. And he got a burst of health, was able to stay alive. That is a really heads-up play, either a lucky play or he knew that was the thing, and good play there.
Oh, yeah. I will say, as a little bit of a jungler main myself, that trick has saved me approximately never. I do it, I still die. I'm like, I'm a big brain, and then, you know, the howitzer shoots me with the T-4800 built by Tony Stark himself, and I'm sad because I'm at the gray screen. But yeah, it is definitely like, it does speak to his awareness. And you can see, if anyone goes back and watches that team fight, we can see a clip that he utilizes his dash to get to that corner. On his right is health if he wants to take the team fight. But then directly behind him, if he does get his dash back up, is an exit for him to be able to get out. Just amazing spatial awareness coming out of the Gretcher and Indeed your boy. As he looks to engage here, back over, going towards the mid lane. It is going to be Howitzer who's going to fall faster than you can see, as his drag back is going to land for the Gretcher. A little bit of damage is going to be translated over, but Conti will survive. Much like the song, playing on the blues, he will survive and he will remain, as it is going to be the team at top 10 taking a 3-0 lead. As in the duo lane, they conquer, they smite, they burst, they shoot. The gunslinger collects his bounty on the Bellica, sending him back to the gray screen. Let's go. To return to lane yet another time.
We do have a late rotation here. Good rotation there by Grux and Sippy, wrapping around and getting it. This is like we said in the beginning, an NA versus NA match. This is pure chaos.
NA on NA. However, you can see within these earlier instances that it is very much so top 10 here who are used to it. I can only imagine the play calls here. As soon as they got a kill, they were already rotating across lane to get the other one. We are sub 7 minutes in, and we have a 3-man rotate. We know he doesn't have the blink. We know he does have the drag, and we know that if there's 3 of us, there's actually no chance of him surviving. Somebody call animal control, because there's a dead rodent on the mid lane.
Yeah, this is the play style that I'm really surprised that they decided to go with a different play style. It could be fatigue. It is definitely late for the EU boys, but yeah, this is the play style that top 10 is just used to. Just W keying, rotating around and fighting and getting kills and invading. So they are playing. The Poonslayers are playing top 10's game, and top 10 just plays it better than a lot of teams.
A lot of teams, and we've only seen one be able to kind of shut it down and reset it back in their favor here. However, we're going to be wondering, is it going to be the Poonslayers who are going to be able to be the secondary one, as that is going to be a 6th kill going in favor Indeed your boy. He's on a killing streak. Somebody call the ninjas animal control, because there's a dragon on the loose in Indeed your boy. 5-0 early in the game.
Oh man,
increase that bounty up in an absolute rampage, and here it is. The lead has been set in stone, and it is now time to get in that jungle. What camp habit you take? I'm gonna get that. What buff you have up? That's mine now. We're living in a communist society here on Prime because everything belongs to everybody, and it's everybody's world if you're top 10 exclusively. As that is going to be the dual lane power that falls, Conte has to know that it is going to be a rotation onto him if he makes the decision to stay. A far range Decker stun is going to land, but the damage is not going to be enough to send him running, and it is going to be indeed your boy and his squad and top 10 running throughout this team. The Poonslayers are forced to be on the back step.
0-7 in favor of top 10. This is getting out of hand really quickly.
It is, yeah. This is not the situation you want to be in. You do not want to be staring down the barrel of indeed your boy, really fat man. We've all seen what he's done on a killathon, and I'm gonna tell you right now, you don't want to be a digit. If you're this team in Poonslayers, for me at least, it's gonna have to start with a little bit of better map awareness through warding. We see that there's only one ward active on the map in comparison to the 5 that are currently up here for top 10. They know where you are, and they're using that information at any junction to aggress upon you, to get damage on you, even if it's a little bit of a poke, even if it's an inconvenient rotation, even if it's bad pathing. They're utilizing all of this information at every juncture to aggress on you. Even as we are rotating now from the right side, Decker, eyes on Seth, coming from jungle, Shinbi back, Aurora wall, preventing her from initiating. This tower is free. Okay, wards, mid side, we know they're not there. Where are we gonna rotate to next? Do we get a pick? Might be, maybe, because it's gonna be a full build Spirits Fang at this juncture who is going to get that damage across a level 7 and a bit of a lead, a bit of a gap, a bit of a let's say a little bit of an overpowered player coming into this here, as indeed your boy is looking to run through the enemy team here in the Poonslayers.
Underlink gonna be going down. 2 objectives gonna be taken by top 10, and they are just pushing the pedal to the metal. They are gonna take this objective, gonna go mid with it, try to get the last objective up, the last tower up, and yeah, this is getting pretty bad very quickly.
Man, don't let them hit it. Don't get dragged. And then you got dragged. And then
Still
you got
not
stuck.
6.
And then you got taken away to that sweet farm in the sky behind the gray screen. There's a little born, and I promise you, Bellica, it's nice. As she is going to be 1, 2, 3 tapped out of her own tower and brought down to her knees. As it is going to be now top 10 taking the mid lane tower, running fast, sub 10 minutes. That is going to be all 3 towers their favor, 8 kills their favor. Every objective their favor. This is looking like top 10's game at the moment, and I hate to say it, it looks like the Poonslayers are just trying to survive.
Just a second.
Yeah, I was definitely questioning the draft in the beginning. Playing the style for EU has a certain style that I like to play with those tanks, play a little bit more slow, more slower paced. But yeah, this is right into top 10's just play style. Man, how can they come back from this? It's
all right.
Turtle still an objective.
If I'm speaking honestly, and the path that we need this team to come back, if I was the coach and I'm in there right now and I'm like, guys, we got to bring it back, we got to roll through this one, this is our battle plan. What I'm going to need from this team is superior lane pushing as 5 to a singular side and hard warding on that left or right side. You have lost control of your jungle. You now have to accept that. At this point of the game, you have to pick mid lane +1. Left lane is either going to always be pushed against your favor or always in your favor. There are 2 lanes now that you have to worry about. You have to solidify, because being spread throughout all 3 against this team, against this comp, against this lead, you are almost always going to get picked. By consolidating it down to those 2 lanes, you're going to lose farm, yes, but you're also going to lose out on the opportunity of yourself being ganked nearly as easily. And when that 3rd lane does start to push up, you're sending your jungler to collect some XP, to collect some gold that they previously did not have because of what we're seeing so far out of this jungle dominance in top 10. And hopefully, with that lead and with time, you can put yourself in a situation to take a prime, to take a spirit.
Kelsey, can you do it?
It is going to be an initiation, and they're not going to bother bursting it down, because all things said, the Sev buff just wandered up to spirit. A 2-for-1 here for top 10.
Right now, going to the right side of the map. Not sure what is the play for them. Just looking to maybe get some invades, steal some camps, maybe pick someone off that's roaming. Yeah, at this stage of the game, we're really just waiting for the underling to go through, and we'll see an underling taken from top 10 and try to push an in-hit, possibly the mid one. Mid one's already less than half or half health here. But yeah, this not looking good. I'm not really sure a whole lot with it that the Poonslayers can do here. I will say though, if they do get some kills, there are some heavy bounties up there. 750 for Indeed, 6-0 and 2, 250 right now for Sippy. So if top 10 makes some misplays, gets a little too confident, and Poonslayers can get some kills, maybe we can see a slow comeback. But as of right now, yeah, it's definitely going to be a long uphill, tough uphill battle.
So I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, right? I'm not trying to be the Grim Reaper and your Billy and Mandy. A little bit of a throwback for anybody who might remember that one. But in the event you're Seth, right? Let's put ourselves in the best timeline, right? We got the Infinity Stones. We're best timeline. You're Seth. You're not being pushed out of your jungle like you just were. You were allowed to free farm. You can get a little bit of a lead, and your team is going to put you up there to see if you can contest. You get to that point, Rev can still take you out of the team fight because he made it through in the draft. A lot of what allowing yourself to take that Sparrow and allowing them to have Rev was predicated on was that this lead would never be able to get this large. You would be slow farming and building yourself up incrementally to make yourself to that late game so Sparrow could pop off. But we're living in a reality where Huggy has one item built, and it looks like Murdoch is well on his way to a second and approaching ever closely, as Shinbi is going to be forced to use her dash to get out and create a little bit of distance.
Yeah, right now looking across the board, the carries and supports, so they're fairly similar as far as when it comes to level goes. Going to be a little bit higher on the items for getting those kills, but when it comes to the jungle, there is definitely a huge level gap there in the jungle.
And it's going to be a big ult coming out of the aura, which will lead to the demise of the howitzer. It immediately, quicker than you can blink, quicker than you can turn. He was there, and now he's not. I don't know if he's a rabbit or not, but he sure did skedaddle back to that base pretty quickly when he was sent on his way. It is a very unfortunate place to be if you are going to be this team and the Poonslayers. And honestly, not seeing the most direct avenue to victory only can make it that much better if you're able to pull it off, but it is a tough road ahead. Looking out the KD, even in mid lane, Neprex 0-3, the jungler 0-2, another 0-3 over to Kiwi, another 0-2 on top of Huggy Bear. It is 15 minutes and Huggy Bear is sub 91 CS. Neither of the other carries and Sippy Styles or Rye are doing much better in the CS department, but both of them 2-0, and between them, that is a grand total of what appears to be complete kill participation almost. It is a toughie to try to bring yourself back from.
Yeah, the main drastic difference here is going to be that jungle. Of course, it's really hard for Sevarog to farm when the entire team is in both of your jungles. So that's going to be the level difference here. And whenever this objective comes up, they should be easy to take the objective here.
Yeah, and it's a tough choice to make, but it's a choice I feel like a lot of people have to learn, and because there's only one option, right? Top 10 does this a lot, and I've seen them do it to a lot of teams. However, it's just a choice that you're presented with. Do you take a bad fight? Do you take a bad fight and risk losing your life and losing the farm anyway? Or do you let them have the farm and continuously start to grow the gap? You have to take those fights within the jungle before it gets to this point. Because even if you lose, you have to let this team know that you're willing to fight. Letting them free farm does nothing but guarantees it gets bigger. And that is going to be an even larger Decker Cage, though, as it is going to be the Murdoch collecting yet another kill in favor of this team in top 10 as they run through the jungle. It is again, and that is what happens when you do take the option to fight, and it has gotten this large. The distance has gotten this big. You have to take it a little bit earlier, and now at this point you just have to try to survive. However, on the backline it is going to be Conti getting zoned out by the Decker as well as the Aurora, forced to retreat to the other side of his fog gate. Zimmy is not doing quite as much as what he would probably like. There's going to be top 10 resetting here and getting quite the power spike before, I assume, making a play on that Spirit.
Yeah, next objective up is going to be that Spirit, and then once they get the Spirit, we'll like to see a push with for the mid inhib with that underling. And if there is a wipe at an inhib, it could potentially be game. With the prime underling pushing and minions pushing, it could potentially be game. But they do have a little defense here.
Yeah, you gotta set up that soft defense. It is a water game, so you know, if they get it, I'm not shedding any tears, but it is the third one, so I might get the slow roll on the right cheek for a singularity. And if you're gonna go in as Conti here, you have to hope the Rev doesn't reflex, send you out. That is the worst possible scenario. That's gonna be there it is. No.
He almost.
There it is. The moment he was in, he sent him out. It's time to dut the duel, and it's time to dut the die, says the Murdoch. Before you think you touch the ground, the Grim Reaper is sent to his domain as the gray screen welcomes Conti back yet again, top 10, and complete control of the jungle, of the objectives, of the mid, of the towers, of the inhibs. An oppressive way to play, but a good way to win, as it looks like they are inching. No, not inching, sprinting. The Usain Bolt Crocs in full go mode towards victory at this rate.
Guardian being pulled here. No contest yet. Shinbi is around. Howitzer, Sevarog are making the rotation here. Decker gonna be the lone zone here. Got 4,000 on the Guardian, 3,000.
Just breaking past 250, 986. Indeed, your boy is going to lock that one down, and it is the worst case scenario. The sleep paralysis demon, inner fire, burning bright, looks to melt through, but dude, that is dry ice. It ain't going nowhere.
Good pull ult.
This is going to be a good pull ult after the crunch. 2 kills, another double. In favor of Indeed, your boy, the ice wall, cutting off escape, cutting off any path that is not the great screen for all but one. As Howitzer puts the rockets on and is going to be looking to Iron Man his way back to lane. Little does he know, waiting in the middle, far side is going to be the Grux on the backwards rotation. Don't let him get it. Don't let him take me. Spirit Fang proc. Please don't let the Rhino run, as it is going to be top 10 sprinting towards the victory line.
I think they still have the underling. Yeah, there is the underling. Underling's going to take this inhib and look to make a push. This could be game here. Everyone is up low level, so they're already back up.
As this inhib, though, off that Red Guardian aggro, it's going to drop to 69. Very nice if you're a top 10 favor, but very bad otherwise. Now retreating back into the jungle. There it is. Oh, guys, looky there. There's a little bit of farm in this jungle, you see. There's a little bit of minions that are available to be taken. Guys, why don't we help ourselves? Depriving, starving out the Sevarog of the opposing team.
Yeah, 0 to 18.
Yeah,
this
man, is it is what happens when you have 5 who completely understand the fundamentals of the game. Look at the shock, look at the awe. You would think that's him coming into his lane and seeing that there's jungle in it. No, that's him coming into
the lane
and coming to understand that he might get one, but at what cost? Grux says, you know what? Take it as a party gift. That red's on me. Indeed, your boy retreating off out of the edge of the Bellic drone and going to take what else remains out of this jungle as the Spirit Fang procs, putting that bad boy on at least another 15-second cooldown. Well and ready before the next team fight and initiation.
Kiwi gonna be in a bad spot. Gonna get sniped by Murdoch.
Oh no, it was unnecessary. But it is going to be the Howitzer going above. Let's see if this damage can translate into possibly a kill. You just need one. You just need something to put you back in. It is going to be a double.
Shinbi going in.
It's going to come off. And then the immediate and CC into the shutdown. Listen, dude, we're rock fans over here. We're hip-hop lads over on these turfs. We don't care too much for the idols, and they send her packing home to the great screen there. That core, ever lower, 57%. Every inhib up, and even more heartbreakingly, 2 towers still up here for top 10.
0 to 20? Is this? Can this be a no death game for top 10? Yeah, this is their play style. I mean, top 10, they do, if they're ahead and they can snowball like this, they continue to put that pressure. They do really well. But when it comes to we've seen it a couple of times when it comes to like maybe it's a little bit more on the even side, or if they're not super far ahead, if they lose the team fights, they don't really have a response for that. They don't know how to play from behind. So this game, unfortunately, more likely is over. So we are going to see them going against BT.
Yeah,
bad timing.
It is. I'll be honest. I can't see an avenue for the Poonslayers to put themselves back in this game. Not in the driver's seat, not in the back seat, not in the baby seat. They're not even in the trunk. These guys are walking as it sits currently, and I do hate to say it, but you have to give it up when the performance has just been so incredibly dominant on top 10. Taking Scylla because they can, and in order to just reduce
he's got all
the and Conti's gone. And there he is.
There's slow burn.
Maybe he's able to get out, but no, it is him who's going to be forced to actually retreat onto the back end. But is he going to be safe? Is he going to make it? Will he survive? I find it to be less and less likely, as he's going to hit the jump over and land on a little bit of an ice box, man. It's a little bit cold outside, and you forgot your mittens, Sev. That's going to be 23 minutes, trying to outclick, trying to outrun, trying to outkill the clock. Here's going to be top 10 as that core is going to be brought more than likely here within this moment to 0%.
Do we get a kill? We need 1 kill. They're not. No kills.
Not a single one. A clean 21-0 for this team in top 10. Going and making their way now to the finals. I can't say anything else outside of throughout game 1, they were able to not necessarily dominate, but they were able to win with their preferred play style against the EUs. Poonslayers are bringing in dual tanks. Top 10, bringing as much damage as they could fit on a 5-man Rob style. Sippy, Rye, putting on a hell of a performance, a hell of a good game, and just forcing, much like a Narbash, this team and the Poonslayers to kind of dance to their tune to adjust on the fly. But hey, man, you can't put your moves on the floor if you are unable to just coordinate and be as clean as this team is. And it's hard to say if there's another team as clean as top 10 when it comes to playing the aggressive.
Yeah, and let's give a shout out for Poonslayers, man. They came in, they played really well. Especially on ping, those guys are at 150 to 180 ping. I've been playing a lot on EU myself, so I know how difficult and tough those little plays where you might miss a route, you might miss the combo could actually escalate to something different there. So it is definitely tough playing on that ping, but shout out to those guys. It is late for them as well, so I'm sure that game was more of a, you know what, let's go ahead and pack it up and go to bed. But still, good performance all around for those guys. They played amazing.